All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. As you can see by the title, this is the California prison hunger strikes. So, before we get into this, I'm going to give you a little bit of history on where these hunger strikes originated from, allegedly. Now, I'm going to put some articles up to back what I'm saying, and to be absolutely clear and transparent, I was not there. Never been to Pelican Bay. I know some people that had some information on it, and I talked to them, and some of that information will be used here as well. But I was already long out of prison by the time the hunger strikes began and the end to all hostilities agreement was signed. So, if you're new to the channel, around 1990, I became involved in drugs and gang activity. I was not a gang member, but I was part of the lifestyle. And over the next 15 years, I would be addicted, and I would hurt a lot of people, both emotionally, mentally, and physically. A lot of people I love, I hurt basically. And I tell these types of stories to hopefully detour you from going this route. Uh, I don't tell anything to glorify anything. That's not what I'm trying to do. I just hope that maybe I can help somebody. If you enjoyed this sort of content, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Smash that like button, drop a comment, let me know what you think. If you know anything about it, then definitely comment. I'd love to hear about it. Also, hit that notification bell so that anytime I drop a new video or go live, you will be notified and you can check it out when you're ready. And share the video. It really helps to grow the channel. We've been growing, and I appreciate that. That's all because of you guys. Thank you very much. So let's get into it. This all originated in Pelican Bay State Prison. Let me give you a little history on Pelican Bay if you're not familiar with it. Pelican Bay opened in 1989, and it was to house the state's most dangerous inmates. Allegedly, gang leaders, disruptive inmates. Basically, if you caught a S.H.U term, you would end up in Corcoran, Tehachapi, or Pelican Bay. Now, what they did was they did a validation process, and if you became validated as a prison gang member, an example, the Big Four, then you would get an indeterminate S.H.U. If you committed an act of violence, like stab somebody or something, then you would get a determinate S.H.U, which basically meant you would be in isolation for a set amount of time. If they determined that you were one of these prison gang members, then you would get an indeterminate S.H.U, and basically you would stay back there, as they like to put it, until you either, turned away from your gang, or you died, or you paroled. One of the three had to happen for you to get out of there, basically, if you had an indeterminate S.H.U. So, a little more about the security housing unit. This is the prison within the prison. Like, if you are in the S.H.U, you do not have any contact with mainline inmates, guys, like in general population, or even SNY for that matter. Although allegedly there were, there's some really smart people that are in charge of these alleged gangs, and they found ways to communicate. So the security housing unit was 1,000 isolation cells in Pelican Bay. Very big place, bigger than some prisons, I'm sure. So they would house these guys back there. And in 2006, the prison officials started reorganizing the S.H.U. And with the S.H.U, you had the longer corridors, and then you had the short corridors. The short corridors were basically 8 cells, 4 upstairs, 4 downstairs. And they allegedly put the highest ranking members in the short corridor units. Guys that were validated as part of one of these big four organizations. The allegedly the most dangerous guys there, the most respected by everybody basically, and the guys with the most juice. So, excuse me. So once they started this reorganization process, they were putting the known validated gang leaders in these short corridors, which led to more communication amongst the leaders of the different gangs. And a plan was devised. They called it the End to All Hostilities, which was a lawsuit that was filed against the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitations, allegedly, to end indeterminate S.H.U sentences. Okay, so what the agreement was basically is, now you have to keep in mind, back in these days, on many of the prison yards, there were big riots that would occur. And these facilities would be locked down for months, if not years at a time. There would be wars that just continued and continued. And, so they came up with the End All Hostilities Agreement, which basically said that there would be peace amongst all the factions. So while this case was going through the court systems, allegedly the leaders of the big four groups started sending word out to the main lines that there was going to be a hunger strike. And ultimately, approximately 30,000 California inmates went on a hunger strike starting July 8th, 2013, and ending in early September of that year. Now, there had been a hunger strike prior to this one, which, from what I could tell, was S.H.U inmates in Pelican Bay. I don't know if Corcoran and Tehachapi participated as well, but it was a much smaller hunger strike that had taken place. And the first one wasn't really successful. I think when they added the End of All Hostilities agreement was signed and that lawsuit was going on with CDCR to end the indeterminate S.H.Us, I think, and from what I've been told by people, is the hunger strike basically was to bring attention to the public that, there was this End of All Hostilities agreement that had been signed, and to, the ultimate goal was to end the indeterminate S.H.U. So 30,000 inmates went on this hunger strike. And from what people have told me, everybody started refusing trays, and the guards would come around and like open the tray up in front of the cell. You sure you don't want this? And, like they were playing hardball basically. And some people ultimately would try to go man down, I guess, because, after a while of not eating, like that's rough. But that's not something that you wanted to do because you wanted to be in unison with your group. So that's kind of what went down with that. And ultimately, the Big Four would win their lawsuit with CDCR and end the indeterminate S.H.U. I think that the hunger strike had a big part in that getting pushed through, with the extra attention that was drawn from the media on that one. And ultimately, they got rid of the indeterminate S.H.U. So then what they did was they started pushing all these guys back out to mainline prisons. And I don't know if they all went to level 4 180s. Typically, when you're getting kicked out of the S.H.U, that's where you go, and you have to go there for like 2 years, and then you can go to a level 4 270, which is a lower security design, basically. Like I said, I don't know where they all ended up, but ultimately, they all ended up out of the S.H.U. And now they don't call it the S.H.U anymore. They basically, if you get into something like you create, uh, you know, do a violent act or something, you stab somebody or something along those lines, they send you to restricted housing unit, RHU. And that is not meant to be a super long term, like you can't get an indeterminate RHU now, from what I understand. Now, I might be wrong on that. Like I said, I did a bunch of research on that and I've talked to some people. And what I hear is now you get a RHU, you might go back there for a couple of years and then you get kicked back out again. Excuse me. But uh, so what's going on at Pelican Bay today? A lot of those uh, S.H.U cells have been turned into much lower custody level housing units. There's TVs back there and all of that stuff. Like when the S.H.U was in full effect, like you didn't have TVs. Like it was really not a good place to be. You know, it broke a lot of people, and now it's, you know, conditions are a lot better from what I hear. Like I said, I haven't been locked up in a long time, but I wanted to bring this story to you about the California hunger strikes and how the inmates pulled together to basically get something done. And, you know, shout out to them for that. But something to keep in mind if you're out there running around in the streets and potentially heading to prison, you know, if, you know, you're on a main line and a kite comes down from the big homie and they say to stop eating and have a hunger strike, then that's what you're going to do. This is the reality of prison. You know, I don't think that sort of stuff is happening anymore because they basically got what they wanted out of the deal, and the indeterminate S.H.U is gone. But, you know, it's not, you know, everybody always says, I'm my own man, I do what I want to. Not in there. You don't. To a certain extent, maybe, but you know, you're going to mind somebody basically. And this is a great example of that. So, you know, I hope everybody's having a great week. I hope you enjoyed the story. Family, fitness, and freedom are the things that allowed me to get my life together and not have to, you know, be incarcerated and deal with this sort of stuff. And it can help you as well. Remember, it's just about building a good foundation and having good people around you that will assist you with your sobriety rather than assist you with trying to get high. So, you know, yeah, that's the story of the day. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you enjoy this sort of content, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Hit that like button if you enjoyed the video. Hit the thumbs down if you didn't enjoy the video. Either way, though, drop a comment. Let me know what you think and share the video. It really helps to get the message out. Also, you can join the channel and become a member. This is the best way to support Broken Bobby's transformation. You can hit that join button, check out the different memberships, and select one if you're so inclined to do so. Don't look at the mountain. Just start climbing.